Hey friends, how's it going? Ash here. Welcome back to Extra Gents. Hope you're having an awesome day. Today I want to talk to you guys about one of my favorite fragrances from the house of Etat Libre d'Orange. It's You or Someone Like You. Nailed it. Yeah. So if you've been keeping up with the channel, I did first impressions of the Discovery set from this house, which I picked up from twistedlily.com. I'll link that in the description as well as this fragrance. Discovery set's pretty sick though. You get 20 fragrances to check out. You get a little booklet that has information on each one of the fragrances. And actually the best part is just that it doesn't cost all that much. That's what I'm about here. If you use the code GENTS10, that'll save you 10% off Twisted Lilies. So technically it makes that Discovery set a little bit cheaper. Don't know what I'm doing with my hands right here. But yeah, like I said, You or Someone Like You is one of my favorites from the house. So when I got to that one in the Discovery set, I was like, I already have this, it's really good. But then I realized I never actually reviewed it. So we're gonna do that today. So yeah, I'm gonna show you the presentation, I'm gonna break the fragrance down and let you know why I like it so much. So let's jump into it. First off, the presentation. Here you got the box done up in the typical style of the house. You have the name of the fragrance, name of the house, sizing, concentration on the front there. It's an Eau de Parfum 100 ml size bottle. On the top of the box, you have the logo of the house. On the back, you have the ingredient information. And on the bottom, you have your batch code and your barcode. So my batch code is I21S363B. And here we have the bottle. So you have that same design on the bottle as on the box. You have the logo of the house on top of the cap, and you have the name of the house on the back of the bottle. On the bottom, you have a sticker and your batch code printed on the bottle. And the cap does click into place. Let's waste a couple sprays here. Woo, it's a good atomizer. In the grand scheme of niche fragrances, this one's actually really cheap at full retail. It's $105 for the 50 ml size bottle. I know maybe that doesn't sound crazy cheap, but when you compare that to a lot of other niche houses, it's actually not that bad. And then if you want the 100 ml like I've got right here, that's $159. So the house is really well known for making fragrances that are kind of out there, a little bit different, a little bit funky. So what happens is sometimes people that haven't smelled a lot of fragrances from this house or any fragrances from this house is they'll just write off everything that they've done. And they'll say, oh, those are the guys that did Secretions Magnifique, right? The fragrance that has sweat and blood and semen as some of the fragrance accords, right? And then they'll look at the advertisements from the house, which are decidedly different than your typical fragrance advertisements, which usually just try to make the bottle look really sexy and or have a model standing there looking pensive. Instead, this house does things differently. They march to the beat of their own drum. But as I said, what happens a lot of times is people will see those advertisements or they'll hear about Secretions Magnifique or maybe one of the other fragrances that the house has done that's a little bit strange, like maybe La Fin du Monde, the end of the world, and they'll think to themselves, well, nah, I'm not gonna waste my time with that. That sounds like joke fragrances, novelty fragrances, the type of thing that you would pull off your shelf, spray onto a tester strip, and hand to your friend just to get a reaction of them going, oh, what is that? And then you guffaw and you go, ha ha ha. Yes, that fragrance has semen as a note. Does it smell like that to you? You would know. But the house actually has a bunch of fragrances that are both unique, but actually really wearable and enjoyable and likable and not super weird. And this is one of those fragrances. And this thing I think smells absolutely fantastic. So what's so good about the fragrance? Well, really, the main thing that I love, the thing that draws me back, is the mint in here. Now, this fragrance has been referred to a lot of times as smelling like a mojito, and that's a pretty good description. It's not really boozy. When you first spray it on, the mint comes across like a muddled mint, like a freshly muddled mint. And that's where you're gonna get that mojito kind of comparison, because when they make a mojito, you know, they'll muddle the mint into the glass and it releases all those aromatics from the mint leaf. You get that from this fragrance when you spray it on. It smells like you took a mint leaf and you just muddled it right onto your skin wherever you sprayed. Now, to some people, that's not gonna sound good because some people don't really go for that more natural smelling vibe with different notes, like citrus, for example. Some people do not like at all when a citrus note comes across very realistic and rindy and a little bitter and tart mixed with sweetness. They don't like that. Some people prefer just that more sweet on sweet kind of citrus. Same thing with mint. Some people don't want to smell like actual mint. Instead, they want to smell like that romanticized, sweetened up fantasy style of mint note that you'll find in a lot of designer fragrances. So if you prefer that and you don't at all like a more natural mint note, you probably aren't going to like the opening here. But if you do like that, you got to check this out. Now, as it dries, that kind of pop from the mint, that goes away, kind of dies away, and it maintains this greenness to it, but instead it starts to turn a little bit tart, slightly bitter, while still being fresh at the same time. So in the opening, when that mint is really popping and really going off, you also have citrus mixing together with it. Very fresh, very nice. Prickles the nose in a very pleasant way, as weird as that sounds. But then, as I said, as it dries, it does get a little bit more slightly bitter while maintaining that freshness, that fresh edge. You get maybe just a slight hint of florals as it works through the mid, kind of on the periphery of the scent. And then when it dries down, it's mainly just remnants of the opening in the mid, little flecks, little fleeting hints of what came before it, mixing together with a white musk. So the dry down is going to be the part of the fragrance that is the least interesting. I think it still smells really good, but it's that opening in mid that keep me coming back. I absolutely adore the opening in the mid here. I think the mint in this fragrance, one of the best ones that I've ever smelled. The quality, really good, very nice for the price. Again, it's not cheap, but in the world of niche, kind of is, but the quality does not suffer. The one drawback for me is the performance could maybe be ramped up a little bit, but with this type of fragrance, you can't really expect it. So it's a drawback, but at the same time, I completely understand it because mint is one of those notes that typically is very fleeting, especially when you're talking about a more natural smelling mint. That stuff is usually just gone. And then same thing with citrus. Citrus typically doesn't last very long. So you're looking at the notes that you really pick up on, the notes that you really hit on, and those are notes that don't have great staying power, especially off your skin. So even though the projection is quite nice initially, as it settles down, it sits closer to the skin, and the longevity, while not being terrible, I wish had a little more to it. I'd say overall, average longevity for me, and then projection good through the mid. But once we hit the dry down and that musk kind of comes out and becomes the star of the show, at that point it's not all that great. But I absolutely will forgive it for that, for the reasons that I mentioned before. The quality is nice, the mint is astounding, and the price is not that bad, all things considered. In terms of seasons, spring and summertime for me, more of a daytime fragrance than a nighttime fragrance. And actually, this is becoming one of my preferred vacation scents. I actually took that on vacation with me this year. It was one of the scents that I brought along, and I loved it. Absolutely, I think if you're into fragrances with a green tinge to them, with a green aspect to them, a green note, check it out. If you love mint, check it out. And if you're looking for maybe kind of different change of pace for a spring and summertime daytime scent, a fresh fragrance, something that's under the radar a little bit that people aren't really wearing, people aren't reaching for because it's not as well known of a house as compared to obviously any designer house, but also a lot of niche houses as well. Check this stuff out, sample it at the least. So there we go. You Or Someone Like You, one of my favorites from the house. Gives me something different with that opening, but it's still very wearable and versatile for high heat situations. If you've smelled that one, let me know what you think about it. And also let me know if you've tried some from this house. And if you have, which ones are your favorite? Thank you guys for staying with me here. Thanks for hanging with me till the end. Stay safe out there. I'll see you another day with another video. See you guys later.